Hello, and welcome to Oídos en Inglés, your friendly space to improve your English just by listening. Let's talk about something very important for many people: how to succeed in a job interview. Whether you're applying for your first job or looking for a new opportunity, these tips will help you feel more confident and prepared. Let's get started. First of all, let's talk about more preparation. One of the most important things you can do is to prepare in advance. Many people think they can just go to the interview and answer questions as they come, but the truth is, preparation makes a big difference. So, how can you prepare? Start by learning about the company. Visit their website, read their mission statement, check their social media pages, and understand what kind of work they do. Knowing this will help you answer questions like, "Why do you want to work here?" or "What do you know about our company?" Next, review the job description carefully. Understand the responsibilities and required skills. Think about your own experiences that match the job. If the position is for a receptionist, for example, think about your communication skills, your ability to stay organized, and your experience with customer service. Another key part of preparation is practicing answers to common interview questions. For example, tell me about yourself. I'm an organized and friendly person with experience in customer service. I enjoy helping others and solving problems. In my last job, I worked as a front desk assistant where I managed phone calls and scheduled appointments. Why should we hire you? I believe I have the right mix of skills and attitude. I'm professional, I work well under pressure, and I'm always willing to learn. Practicing answers out loud can really help. If possible, ask a friend to help you or record yourself and listen to how you sound. Now, let's talk about your appearance. Even if the job doesn't require formal clothes, always try to dress in a clean, neat, and professional way. Avoid clothes that are too casual or too flashy. First impressions matter a lot. When it comes to the day of the interview, make sure to arrive on time. Pros. Actually, it's better to arrive about 10 to 15 minutes early. This shows that you are punctual and serious about the opportunity. If the interview is online, check your internet connection, your microphone, and your camera before the meeting. Once the interview starts, remember to smile, be polite, and use positive body language. Sit up straight, look at the interviewer, and avoid crossing your arms. All of these little things show that you are confident and open. Another important tip is to listen carefully to the questions. Don't be afraid to take a few seconds to think before answering. It's better to give a good answer after a pause than to speak immediately and say something confusing. And if you don't understand the question, it's okay to ask for clarification. For example, "Sorry, could you please repeat the question?" Or, "I'm not sure I understood. Do you mean?" When answering questions, try to give specific examples from your past experience. Let's say the interviewer asks, "How do you deal with difficult customers?" You can say, "In my previous job, I had a client who was unhappy with our service. I listened carefully, apologized for the inconvenience, and offered a solution. In the end, the customer was satisfied." Being able to tell short stories from your past experience will help the interviewer see that you really have the skills they are looking for. It's also a great idea to prepare questions to ask the interviewer. Yes, the interview is not just for them to learn about you, it's also for you to learn about the company. You can ask, "What does a typical day in this position look like? What are the biggest challenges in this role? What opportunities are there for growth or learning?" These kinds of questions show that you are really interested and engaged. Now, let's talk a bit about your attitude. Confidence is important, but be careful not to sound arrogant. It's okay to say that you're good at something, but always back it up with examples. For instance, I'm very organized. In my last job, I created a system that helped reduce appointment errors by 30%. Also, be honest. If you don't know something or don't have experience with a certain task, say so, but also express your willingness to learn. For example, I haven't worked with that software before, but I'm a fast learner and I'm confident I can learn it quickly. Let's not forget about language skills. If you are doing the interview in English and it's not your first language, don't worry too much about having a perfect accent. What matters most is that you speak clearly and that you understand what is being said. If you're nervous, practice speaking slowly and clearly. Avoid using complicated words or long sentences. Keep it simple and natural. Now, a few more quick tips before we wrap up. Turn off your phone before the interview. Don't interrupt the interviewer. Try to stay calm and positive, even if you're nervous. At the end, always thank the interviewer for their time and for the opportunity. And finally, after the interview, it's a good idea to send a follow-up message or email. Just a short thank you note to say you appreciated the chance to speak with them. This helps keep you fresh in their minds and shows professionalism. So, let's summarize the key points we covered today. Prepare by learning about the company and job. Practice your answers to common questions. Dress professionally and be on time. Use positive body language and be polite. Give clear, specific answers and examples. Ask thoughtful questions at the end. Be honest, confident, and willing to learn. Follow up with a thank you message. I hope these tips help you feel more confident for your next interview. Chapter 2. Best practices during the job interview. Let's keep going with our conversation about how to do well in job interviews. In the last episode, we focused on general tips, like preparing in advance, researching the company, and practicing common questions. Now, let's go deeper into what you should do during the actual interview. Imagine you're sitting in the interview room or in front of your laptop for an online interview. What happens next? What can you do in those 20, 30, or even 45 minutes to leave a great impression? The first thing to remember is you're already halfway there. If the company invited you for an interview, it means they already like your resume and think you might be a good fit. Now your job is to prove that you are T. Let's start with your mindset. Go into the interview with a calm, positive attitude. Take a few deep breaths before you enter the room or join the call. Remind yourself that this is just a conversation between people. You're there to learn more about them too, not just the other way around. One of the best practices is to build rapport with the interviewer. That means creating a friendly connection at the beginning. If they start with a light comment like, "How was your weekend?" or "Did you find the office easily?" take the opportunity to smile and respond in a relaxed way. These moments help break the ice and make everyone more comfortable. As the interview continues, be aware of your body language. Nonverbal communication says a lot. Keep good posture, make eye contact, nod when appropriate, and try not to fidget too much. Avoid crossing your arms, looking at the floor, or checking your watch or phone. These small actions can make a big difference in how people see you. Now, let's talk about how to answer questions effectively. One method that many experts recommend is called the STAR method. That's situation, task, action, and result. It helps you explain your past experiences in a clear and structured way. For example, if someone asks, "Can you tell me about a time when you solved a problem at work?" You might say, "Sure. In my last job at the call center, We had a situation where many customers were calling about the same issue. Our website wasn't accepting credit card payments. My task was to help reduce the frustration and explain the issue clearly. I created a short guide for my team with a simple explanation and steps to follow. As a result, our call times became shorter and the number of repeat calls dropped by 20%. Notice how that answer gives details and shows a result. That's more powerful than just saying, "Yes, I'm good at solving problems." Another best practice is to show your enthusiasm for the role. Interviewers often remember people who seem excited and truly interested. Use phrases like, "I'm really excited about the possibility of joining your team." "This position sounds like a great match for my skills and goals." "I've followed your company for a while, and I'd love to be part of it." Just make sure your tone is natural. Don't overdo it or sound fake. Genuine interest is always better. Let's also talk about listening. Many people focus so much on giving the right answer that they forget to listen carefully to the question. Don't interrupt. Let the interviewer finish speaking, then take a second to think before responding. It shows maturity and professionalism. If you're not sure what the question means, it's totally okay to ask for clarification. You can say things like, "Just to be sure I understand, are you asking about my last job or a more general experience? Could you please repeat the question?" Remember, it's better to ask than to guess and give an unrelated answer. When it comes to talking about your weaknesses, this is a question that makes many people nervous. The key is to be honest, but also show that you're working to improve. For example, "I used to struggle with time management, especially when I had many small tasks to handle. But I started using a planner and setting daily priorities, and it's really helped me stay organized and on schedule." This shows self-awareness and a growth mindset. Both are qualities that employers respect. Now let's talk about something that's not always obvious. Tone of voice. Try to speak in a calm, friendly tone. Don't speak too fast and try not to sound too robotic or too casual. You want to sound like someone who is professional, but also easy to work with. A natural, confident tone goes a long way. Another tip is to use the name of the company or interviewer if possible. For example, "I've read that at Blue Tech, teamwork is very important, and I really value that kind of environment." Or, "Thank you, Maria, for asking that. I'd love to tell you about a time when I worked under pressure." This creates a more personal connection and shows that you've done your research. You might also get behavioral or situational questions, like, "What would you do if a coworker disagrees with your idea?" "How do you handle deadlines under pressure?" Try to answer these using real examples from your past. Even if the exact situation hasn't happened to you, you can explain how you would approach it with logic, patience, and collaboration. Now let's touch on something a bit tricky. Questions about salary. Sometimes interviewers ask, "What are your salary expectations?" This can feel awkward, especially if you're not sure what's fair. If you've done research and know the average pay for that job, you can say, "Based on what I've seen in the industry, I believe a fair range would be between $X and $Y, depending on the full responsibilities of the role." Or, if you prefer to delay the conversation, you can say, "I'm open to discussing salary, but I'd first love to learn more about the role and the team to understand the full picture." And if you're interviewing in English as a second language, don't be afraid to ask for something to be repeated or to say, "I'm sorry, English is not my first language. Could you repeat that more slowly, please?" This shows honesty and professionalism, and most interviewers will appreciate your effort. Finally, remember this. Every interview is a learning experience. Even if you don't get the job, you can learn something from it. Maybe next time you'll feel more comfortable. Maybe you'll improve your answer to a question you struggled with. The goal is to grow and get better with each opportunity. Chapter 3: Common Interview Questions and How to Answer Them. All right, in the last 2 chapters, we talked about preparing for a job interview and how to behave during it, how to stay calm, how to communicate well, and how to build a connection with the interviewer. Now, let's focus on something super important. Common questions you'll probably hear in any interview and how to answer them like a pro. Let's start with the big one. It's one of the first things they ask, and it sets the tone for everything else. Tell me about yourself. This question sounds simple, but it can be tricky. You don't want to just repeat your resume, and you don't want to go off topic. A great way to answer this is to focus on 3 parts: your background, your current skills or experience, and what you're looking for. Here's an example. Sure, I'm originally from Mexico and I studied accounting. I've worked for 3 years as a finance assistant, where I handled reports, invoices, and helped improve the payment process. I'm very detail-oriented and organized. Now I'm looking for a new challenge where I can grow and learn more in a bigger company like yours. Short, clear, and relevant to the job. That's what you want. Next is a classic: why do you want to work here? This is your chance to show that you've done your homework. Don't say something generic like, because I need a job. Instead, connect your values or interests with the company. For example, I really like that your company focuses on innovation. I read about your latest project in the news, and I thought it was exciting. I'd love to be part of a team that's working on something modern and creative. Now, another common one. What are your strengths? The best way to answer is to mention 1 or 2 real strengths that match the job and give a short example. Try to avoid buzzwords like hardworking unless you can prove it. I think one of my strengths is problem solving. In my last job, we often had sudden technical issues. I created a simple checklist to help my team find solutions faster, and it really improved our response time. That shows action and value. Always connect your strength to something concrete. Now for the harder one. What is your biggest weakness? This question makes people nervous, but it doesn't have to. The key is to be honest, but also show how you're working to improve. Here's a smart way to say it. I used to get nervous when speaking in front of groups, even small ones. But I started practicing with short presentations at work, and now I feel much more confident. I still get a little nervous, but I'm getting better each time. That's real, honest, and shows growth. Now, another question you might hear. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? This question is not just about your future. It tells the company if you have goals and if your goals match theirs. A good way to respond is, in 5 years, I'd like to grow in my role, maybe take on more responsibility and continue learning. I'd love to still be in the same company, maybe as a team lead or working on bigger projects. That shows you're thinking long-term and are open to growth. Let's move on to, why did you leave your last job? Or, why are you looking for a new job? Keep your answer positive. Never talk badly about a past job, boss, or coworkers. Even if it was a bad experience, focus on what you learned or what you're looking for now. I learned a lot at my last job, and I'm grateful for the experience. But I'm looking for a position where I can continue growing and take on new challenges. Now, here's a question that's more about how you work. Can you tell me about a time when you worked under pressure? This is a behavioral question. It's asking you to tell a story about a real situation. Use the STAR method here: situation, task, action, result. Sure, during tax season, we had a huge volume of invoices and only a short time to process them. I created a color-coded system to prioritize tasks, and we were able to finish everything on time. It was stressful, but it helped me stay focused and calm. Here's another one you might hear. Tell me about a time you had a conflict with a coworker. Again, stay positive. The interviewer wants to know if you can work through problems in a respectful way. Here's a sample answer. There was a time when a coworker and I disagreed on how to organize a client file. Instead of arguing, I suggested we meet to understand each other's reasons. We found a way to combine both ideas and ended up improving the system for everyone. Next, you might hear, how do you prioritize tasks when you have a lot to do? This question checks your time management. Try to answer with your process, not just, I make a list. Give more detail. When I have many tasks, I first list everything. Then I sort them by urgency and importance. I usually use a digital planner or calendar to set time blocks so I stay focused and avoid multitasking. Here's a very common question too. Do you prefer to work alone or in a team? Be honest, but remember that most jobs want both. A good balanced answer might be, I enjoy working in a team because you can share ideas and support each other, but I'm also very comfortable working independently when I need to focus. I think both are important. Now, let's say they ask, why should we hire you? This is your moment to sell yourself with confidence. Mention your skills, your attitude, and what makes you a good fit. I believe I'm a good match for this position because I have the skills you're looking for, and I also bring a strong work ethic. I learn quickly, I'm very organized, and I really care about doing a good job. I'm excited about this opportunity. Finally, many interviews end with, do you have any questions for us? This is your chance to show interest. Don't say no. Ask something thoughtful like, what does a typical day look like in this role? How do you support learning or training for new employees? What do you like most about working at this company? It shows that you're serious and thinking long-term. Before we close this chapter, I want to remind you of one last thing. Practice out loud. Not just in your head. Say your answers. Record them. Listen to your tone, your speed, and your vocabulary. It really makes a difference. And remember, interviewers are not looking for perfection. They're looking for someone who is prepared, honest, and easy to work with. In the next chapter, we'll talk about how to create a great resume, one that really helps you get that interview in the first place. So stay with me, and let's keep getting better together. Chapter 4: How to Create a Resume That Opens Doors. All right, we've made it to the final chapter in our series. So far, we've covered how to prepare for an interview, how to behave during the interview, and how to answer the most common questions. Now, we're going to focus on something just as important, your resume wind, also called a TUV or curriculum vitae, or this is your first impression, it's your ticket in. And if it's done right, it can get you in front of the right people. Let's start with this. A resume doesn't have to be long or complicated. In fact, the simpler and clearer it is, the better. Recruiters often look at dozens of resumes a day, and you may only have a few seconds to catch their attention. So, what should a strong resume include? First, let's talk about the here header, Cao. At the very top, put your full name, Braha phone number, professional email address, and a LinkedIn profile. If you have one. Don't use casual emails like cooldude88@gmail.com. Keep it professional, something like john.doe@gmail.com. If you're applying for remote jobs or international positions, you can also add your current location or time zone. Next comes your most professional summary. This is a short paragraph, 3 to 4 lines max, that quickly describes who you are and what you bring to the table. For example, detail-oriented accountant with 3 years of experience in financial reporting and budgeting, skilled in Excel, SAP, and cross-functional collaboration. Looking for a dynamic company where I can grow and contribute to financial efficiency. See how clear that is? It tells us what you do, what tools you use, and what you're looking for. That's the tone you want to strike. After that, we go into your work experience. And this is where most people make mistakes. Don't just list tasks. Show impact. Here's what you should include for each job. Job title, company name, dates you worked there, 3 to 5 bullet points about what you achieved. Let's take an example. Instead of writing, responsible for customer service and answering emails, you can write, handled over 50 customer inquiries daily via email and live chat, maintaining a 98% satisfaction rating. Much better, right? Use strong action verbs like managed, developed, increased, created, improved, resolved, or supported. And when possible, add numbers. Quantify your impact. Saying increased sales by 15% is more powerful than just helped increase sales. Here's another tip. Tailor your resume. For each job application, don't send the same generic version to every company. Read the job description and highlight the skills they mention. Then reflect those skills in your experience if you have them. After work experience, you'll include your education. Where? If you've graduated from college or university, list that first. Include name of the school, degree or diploma. Graduation year, optional. If you're still studying, write something like Bachelor of Business Administration, in progress, expected graduation 2026. You don't have to include your high school if you already have a degree. Next, add a skills section. This is a bullet list of tools, software, or technical skills you have. Some examples: Microsoft Excel, Advanced, Google Sheets, Intermediate, Canva, Basic Design, Salesforce, CRM Data Entry, Power BI, Dashboard Creation. If you're applying for jobs that require language skills, make sure you add a languages section too. For example, English native, Spanish fluent, French intermediate speaking, basic writing. After that, you can include certifications, courses, or workshops that are relevant to the position. Some examples: Google Analytics Certification, 2023. Customer Service Fundamentals, Coursera, 2022. Excel for Business, Udemy, 2021. Don't include random courses just to fill space. Only list what supports the job you're applying for. Now, here's a section that can set you apart: volunteering, side projects, or freelance work. Let's say you created a website for a local business, organized a fundraiser, or tutored students. These things matter. They show initiative, responsibility, and real-world skills. For new graduates or people with little formal work experience, this can be especially powerful. So now you're probably wondering, how long should my resume be? If you have less than 5 years of experience, aim for 1 page. If you've worked more than 5 years, 2 pages is fine. But never go beyond that unless you're in academia or research. Also, let's talk about design and layout. Use a clean, professional font like Arial, Calibri, or Helvetica. Keep the font size between 10 and 12 for the main text. Use bold headings and enough spacing to make sections easy to read. Avoid bright colors, emojis, fancy borders, or graphics, unless you're applying for a creative role like graphic design or marketing. Now, one of the most common and dangerous mistakes: grammar and spelling errors. Always proofread your resume before sending it out. Better yet, ask someone else to read it. Use free tools like Grammarly or Language Tool to check for mistakes, especially if English isn't your first language. Another pro tip: save your resume as a PDF. That way, the formatting stays the same no matter which computer opens it. Also, give your file a clear name, something like Resume John Doe Customer Support.pdf, not Final Resume V3 Draft JD Fixed.pdf. Now, let's talk about what not to include. Don't write references available upon request. It's unnecessary. Don't include your photo, unless the job description specifically asks for it. Don't add personal information like marital status, date of birth, or religion. Keep it professional. Keep it focused. Here's one more important mindset tip. Think of your resume not as a list of everything you've done, but as a marketing tool. Its job is to make someone say, "Hey, I want to talk to this person." So don't overload it with fluff. Instead of writing, "I'm a passionate, hardworking individual who always gives 110%. Show it through your actions. Led a team of 4 interns, improving customer onboarding speed by 25% in 3 months. See? Let your work speak. And finally, if you're not getting interviews after sending your resume, don't panic. It could be a small tweak in wording, or maybe the jobs you're applying for don't match your strengths yet. Keep adjusting, keep learning. Ask for feedback. Sometimes, one change can make all the difference. And with that, we wrap up this 4-part series on how to land the job you want. From preparing for interviews to handling tough questions, and now creating a resume that speaks for you, I hope these episodes have helped you feel more confident and clear about your next steps. You deserve a job that values your skills, respects your time, and helps you grow. And you have what it takes to get there. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep going. If you liked this audio, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Thanks for listening, and good luck with your job search.